So this is our fourth episode on how to make a 2D endless runner. And prior to our last video, we arranged the animation and we also fixed up these boulders by giving them colliders and a little bit of code so they can move towards the negative x-axis. Now for today's video, we're going to fix the jump animation some more, because currently when I play this game, you can see, and when the game is playing, my first problem now is when I jump, the boulder is too big, and then if I keep on clicking jump, you can see my player just keeps rotating, and then there is a problem with this. So obviously we have to fix this um, so that when we click or when we left click, it doesn't keep on jumping while we click, and then so it doesn't rotate this way and then ends up like this. So let's fix this problem now. Obviously the first problem would be to reduce our boulder size. So let's double click on the first one. So with this on, we will want to reduce the size of this to something a bit smaller. We can go ahead and delete these two extra boulders now. These obstacles, whichever obstacle you feel like using, I'm going to delete these two for now, and then this, for this one, I'm going to reduce it, scale it down, on the X and also on the Y to something or somewhere there. I think that should do. So you can see it's minus or 0.23 on the X and 0.21 on the Y. That is for me anyway, so I'm going to bring this down somewhere about there. And so with this done, let me play the game and test it out. It's still a bit high, so we can practice the jump. Obviously it still collides, but then it's better now. The second issue now would be to select our player and reduce the size of our collider on the X. So rather than leave it to be this large, all we need to do is find the collider size and scale it down on the X to just around the torso part of the player. So it's around 0.96 for me. That should be enough. So this is it for me. Now let's see. This is a bit high, so let's bring this boulder down a bit. Select this, bring it down. Let's see, somewhere there. So this should do for the boulder size and also the player. That's the player positioning. But then even with this, there is going to be a little bit of problem when I click on the left mouse button or when the player is on air. The player comes down a bit too fast, and for us to be able to handle this, what we need to do is to go down to the player's rigid body. Obviously this is on the player, and since I haven't tagged this player yet, let's go ahead and tag this player. So let's left click on this tag and select player. So this would contain the player tag. For the rigid body now, we're going to touch this linear drag, and this is the resistance to gravity for the player. So we're going to set this to something like 6, which should be all right. That should do with the tag as player. And then for the case of the player jumping continuously when we keep on hitting the left mouse or the left click on the mouse, we're going to fix that when we go into the code. So let's play the game now, just to test if this is working. The boulder is still up, so we have to lower this a bit, but then let's see. And you can see now that the player, he lands a bit well, or he jumps over and lands slower than before, so this should be alright, except for this issue now, which the animation stays permanently on jump, and this we're going to make sure we fix it on the code. So for now, let's close the game. Then let's go into our scripts folder, select player, or double click it to open it up in Visual Studio. Once this is open inside Visual Studio, what we need to do is we need to give this player a little bit of breathing space. So let's say, rather than allow this to be, let's say, minus 2.48 on the Y, so that it can be the current position on the Y, what we need to do is reduce this value a bit. So let's say something like 2.46, so that the player can keep running even though it's not on this exact value. Although we can set it to a random value between the two, or a range between the two, but I think this should just be a quick method of fixing it. This should do okay. Now for this input.get mouse button 0, all we need to do is so all we do now is let's create a float. So let's make this private float. Let's call this number or jump number. Let's set this equal to 0 by default. So after creating this jump number, now what we need to do is we need to check this for a certain condition. So if we're clicking this mouse button, all we need to do is we need to set this jump number so let's call it jump number. We need to set this number equal to 1. It should be alright. So once we click this mouse button 0, we set the number to 1, and then position would be this. So what we need to do now is to add a condition to this. So if we input the mouse button 0, and if our jump number, if this is equal to 0, then we want this function to be executed. We want to set the jump number to 1, and then we want the player, of course, to jump. But then over here, if the transform node position is set to this one, then we want to set the animation jump to true, and then else, so we can reset this jump number over here. Once the jump is false, then we want to reset this number. We want to set it to 0. Right, so I think this should be enough. Right, so let's add this double equal to sign here so it works perfectly. Otherwise, it's going to give us an error. So with this done, let's save our correction and go back into Unity. And so with that downloading, let's play the game to test it out now. Alright, so with the game active now, you can see no matter how many times I click, it has to hit the ground first before I can finally jump again. Obviously this is going to be a problem, but then we have to set something if our player collides with an obstacle or a dangerous game object. For now it's nothing, it's just going to keep running. So you can see the effect. I can only jump once and then it has to return to the ground before I can jump again. So that has fixed the error of jumping a little bit. Now what I want us to do is I want us to also design other obstacles in the game. So I'm going to add like 2 more in this game. So let's go into the 2D obstacles. Let's zoom out a bit and let's drag this iron spike. Let's drag this iron spike to somewhere there. Let's place it somewhere there. And then also these wooden spikes. I think this C will do. So let's bring it somewhere here. And I have my spikes. So let's shift select the 2 of them and let's drag them to where the boulder currently is, which is somewhere around here. And then the other spike would be a bit distant to somewhere around there, let's say. For the wooden one, we're going to scale this down to something like 0.5. So same thing here, 0.5, 0.5 on this, even though it's not needed, but it's already a habit, so I'm used to doing that. Let's see the boulder for the boulder position, let's set this to something like minus 2.70. Let's see how that works. Let's copy this position and place it for the spike, both spikes that is. So let's paste this for the 2 of them. I think this one the scale looks okay for now. It doesn't look, except it looks a bit distant from the cells. So let's scale this one also to 0.5, say 0.5 and also 0.5. And for the Y position, let's paste this so it's somewhere there. So these 2 obstacles are the additional ones which will be coming towards the player. Right now there is nothing which they will do, so what we will go ahead and create a script for each and every one of them. And since this boulder already has its own script, what we can do is go into the script folder. Before we do that, let's drag this boulder script into the scripts. So let's go into the scripts folder, right click, select create C# script, and let's call this obstacle. So this script will take care of the 2 of them. That's for the first and the iron and wooden spikes. It will handle the 2 of them. And let's double click this to open it up in Visual Studio. And so inside our obstacles script, what we need to do is to delete this start. We would not be needing it. And then exactly what we did for our boulder, for the position to be moving on the negative axis, all we need to do is go into the boulder and then copy this line of code. So let's copy this and go back into the obstacles. Let's paste this here, and in this case we can also create a private float and name this movement. Let's set this to 1. We after creating the movement and setting this to 1, for the X position, let's just leave this, or let's remove the X position and change this to transform position dot y. So let's save this and head into Unity. So once this gets done loading, we can select our spike and drag our obstacle to it. For the first spike, it has an obstacle, and the second one the same thing. So let's drag this onto it, and then we can test out the game to see if they work. And they're going on the positive side, not the negative. So the only thing which we need to do is to reverse the movement, which we go back into the obstacle script, and then rather than use positive movement, we need to set this to -1, and then we can save this now. And play the game. So we can see that it's now coming towards us. The first obstacle comes, we can jump. Next one, we wait for it. Once it comes near us, we can also jump. And since there are no colliders, obviously the player will just pass through. So this is something which I will do before our next video. Now we've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, as always, like, comment down below, subscribe if you want to support me, or if you feel like supporting this YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching, and let's continue this in my next video.